Despite the fact that both on his Facebook page and another website he recommended, Duke promoted websites from across the political spectrum, including Media Matters, who are usually the first to exploit tragic events like those to sling mud and their political adversaries. And I've called Watson up. He says he saw some of those. He's going to link to those and to some of the other scans. And I've got some of the reported comments by this guy. It looks more like he was against the entire system, like most Americans are. It's come out today. Congress has the lowest approval rating ever reported by Gallup poll. They want to divide us into Republicans and Democrats. Limbaugh divides us into Republicans, Media Matters, and others into Democrats, and have us fight with each other when it's the ruling class robbing the daylights out of us. And I want to point out, I'm against violence, but this guy was going after the wrong target. A school board? And I got to hand it to one of the school board members, you know, saying, well, I'm the one that did it. Let the others go. I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, just really, you know, good people, it appears. And that's what we're made up of in this country. We're just compartmentalized to where most people don't see the big picture of what's going on. It continues here. The fact that no one was injured and that Duke ultimately claimed his own life after he'd been shot, he shot himself, has contributed to him becoming a martyr in the Michael Douglas falling down mold. Yeah, shouldn't be a martyr, rather than being considered a deranged lunatic. And Facebook pages in his honor are already attracting members. Duke was stopped when shots from a security guard named Mike Jones wounded him before he took his own life. Despite the fact that it was a gun that stopped the rampage, Time Magazine and others are already blaming the tragedy on the Second Amendment. No, it was a deranged mind, and it was the Second Amendment that stopped him. In a de facto online suicide note posted on Facebook, Duke railed against the financial terrorist that prompted him to take such a drastic course of action. I was just born poor in a country where the wealthy manipulate, use, abuse, and economically enslave 90% of the population. Rich Republicans, rich Democrats, same rich. They take turns fleecing us. No, there's a tiny banking elite that's very corrupt. And the military-industrial complex that manipulate the society. It's not the guy down the street that owns a restaurant, buddy, that's your enemy. Rich Republicans, rich Democrats, same, rich. They take turns fleecing us. Our few dollars pyramiding the wealth for themselves, he wrote. That 95% of the U.S. of A are neo-slaves of the global South. See, that's kind of a liberal thing there. Our masters, the wealthy, do as they like to us. And it just goes on from there. This goes far deeper than someone violently acting upon political grievances. Duke's actions were solely guided by his economic woes, the fact that his wife had lost her job, that the unemployment benefits had run out, and that the future offered no hope whatsoever. No, he'd be homeless. This is a future that millions more Americans will have to face in the coming years as the unemployment rate, which is really around 20% level, continues to accelerate. As we warned back in June, we are in the early stages of a new age of rage. We wrote an article about it, which will be characterized by riots, revolutions, and widespread backlash against the economic holocaust that has been unleashed by the global elite by design. Unfortunately, there will be many more Clay Dukes over the coming years. There will be more Americans who lose everything and decide that the best way is to simply lose it all together. Well done, Watson, on that article. But we're, again, I mean, it's clear. I've got more quotes here from him. He quotes Warren Buffett, who was a few weeks ago on This Week on ABC, sicking people on the rich, saying, tax tax people making $100,000 a year, saying they're the rich, because he's at the very top of the pyramid and uses government to transfer your wealth. We're going to come back with more of his quotes. By the way, Paul Watson is beefing up, adding more intel to his article, When Americans Lose Everything, They Start to Lose It. We've confirmed on his Facebook and other sites that his favorite websites were Media Matters and other mainstream news, but also We Are Change, which, of course, I helped spawn with Luke Radowski, that is all about be the change you want to see in the world, nonviolent. And on the front page, there's a giant image of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And, Media Matters has been so wicked towards us and tried to claim that we're calling for violence, they'll probably just excise out "We Are Change" and won't even care and just ignore that they're listed as well. Just outrageous. Very, very outrageous. So clearly this was a freaked out, upset guy who was just at the end of his road. And I want to explain this psychological profile for you right now, because I discovered this doing research over the last 15 years. There was a 2020 special about it in 1991. Within 1 year, in 1989, of public schools, including Littleton, Colorado, implementing what is called death education and suicide prevention. They teach the kids how you die. You get in a simulated coffin. It's very bizarre. It's mind control. It's meant to make them depressed. And that's come out with the big drug makers. They actually put this in the name of making kids not commit suicide, but they know then that it introduces to the children the idea of committing suicide. And they've had just countless cases where particularly 11, 12, 13-year-old girls will hear about this, and they'll teach them, oh, did you know little girls hang themselves with shoelaces or belts? And they'll go into the public school bathroom and hang themselves on the coat hanger point that's on the inside of the stall. And you can search this and pull it up. School districts nationwide in the last 5, 6 years have pulled out the coat hanger areas inside the stalls because people were killing themselves, mainly little girls. Then once the little girls say they're depressed because it's been introduced to them that they should be depressed, that it's a big drama queen thing, then it's trendy for mommy and daddy to put them on Prozac or one of those other variants of serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Then, but it's trendy to put little Johnny on the amphetamine class drugs like, of course, Ritalin, Adderall, and others that cause the heart to swell, the brain to shrink, they retard growth, they cause brain damage, and parents just sadly go, well, the school said so, and boy, my daughter or son's a lot better now. Yeah, because they're burnt out. You were giving them Coke, you were giving them sweets, they were having sugar crashes, they had bad nutrition. And so you just burned their brain out. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this. This is a fact. I've talked to medical doctors, nutritionists, you name it. They've done major studies where getting real nutrition and not drinking fluoridated water and not drinking processed, sugar drinks that are in vending machines all over the schools, or chocolate milk like we had in school. I remember always like an hour after lunch, I get a headache and feel groggy because I was going and eating pizzas, 2 chocolate milks. I like salad, so I'd go ahead and eat a salad too, but boy, I love that school food. The mashed potatoes, the chicken fried steaks. I was in there getting double helpings. It's unhealthy. But again, I'm just trying to cover the whole spectrum of this. They introduced the idea of how to commit suicide. So now, since they introduced death education in the late 80s, and it's gone nationwide since then, you look at the charts for teenage suicide, it's just going straight up. And it's the same thing with the media advertising and hyping people going postal in the 80s. It was always military veterans, in almost every case, who had lost their governors to not want to shoot and kill people. Most of them had been in combat. They'd shot and killed people. That's how they deal with stress. They've been trained to be killers. I'm not saying they're bad people. And then they go in to work at the government building, mainly the post office. It's a stressful job. They got some boss bossing them around, makes them angry. They don't go commit suicide. Or they don't go sell their house and, or, go move in with family or go, travel the country or whatever, as they should. Just enjoy life, even though they become homeless. They go in and they shoot their boss, and they shoot a couple other coworkers. The media hypes it up. They play it up. They constantly put that idea out there. They have all these drills for mass shooters all over the place, introducing the idea. And then it begins to happen. So there's also that facet to all of this. But I wanted to get in to some more of the points that I made dealing with this. When Americans lose everything, they start to lose it. And I wrote some notes here. Number one, Mike Jones, the security guard, did his job. He's a hero. He went in there, fired one time and shot Mr. Duke. Mr. Duke fell to the ground, realized what was happening, that he was about to go to prison for life, and killed himself, showing what a desperate person he was. We don't know if Duke, again, didn't want to kill people and so was aiming above them or beside them, which is common if you're not a trained killer who's been, trained to instinctively kill and not think, like the police are with instinctive shooting and the military. We have the whole issue of the Second Amendment stopped this guy. And I've made the point, you come in my house, my business, my car, if there was some nut shooting people next door, I'd go out there and deal with them. Because that's how we respond to this. You don't respond by disarming or trying to disarm people, because a nut's always going to be able to get a gun. A nut could walk up and hit a cop on the head with a baseball bat and take their gun away from him. Then the nanny state's answer is RFID in all the guns. And then they want to ban steak knives in England because people are stabbing people. No, it's the human mind that's the issue, not the car that can be used as a weapon or the airplane. It's the human mind. It's the individual. Again, I make the point that I am totally against what happened here. This is horrible. They will use this to clamp down on everybody. This is not the response we need. But if he's going to go after the government, why the school board? Well, they fired his wife. They're laying people off for whatever reason. So that's why he went there. But if he's writing in his Facebook blogs and other places, my testament, some people, the government-sponsored media, which it is, will say I was an evil monster. No, I was just born poor in a country where the wealthy manipulate, use, abuse, and economically enslave 95% of the population. Rich Republicans, rich Democrats, same, rich. They take turns fleecing us our few dollars, pyramiding the wealth for themselves. The 95% of us in the U.S. of A. are the neo-slaves of the global South. Our masters, the wealthy, do as they like to us. And then he quotes Warren Buffett, who skillfully plays class warfare, the very top of the pyramid, a guy worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He claims it's 40-something billion. He puts his billions into tax-free operations and tells you it's philanthropy, something the Rockefellers invented. Philanthropy is not charity. Totally different. And it continues. There's class warfare, all right, but it's my class, the rich class, that's making war, and we're winning. Warren Buffett. So he quotes Warren Buffett. He goes on, rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your change to earth like dew, which in sleep has fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few. So V for Vendetta, the image of people marching in mass past the corrupt military and taking down the bankers who were surveilling everyone and propagandizing, and the government's running the dominant media. It's the corruption that makes V for Vendetta so powerful, because it's telling a true story about oppression on so many levels. It is the bank stealing trillions and robbing the nation, and they haven't even gotten done. We're a year or two behind Ireland and Greece and others. It's just now getting ready to come here. Crime is exploding. I mean, I've got stacks of news here where it's just expanding. Police departments and sheriff's departments are laying off, in some cases, 60% of their deputies or police, and announcing they're only going to respond. They're only going to respond to things like shootings, and that they're, the rest of the time, going to be out there engaged in revenue generation. Well, I discovered that 15 years ago when my car got stolen in Dallas.